Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you where every crafting material and resource is in Subnautica 2, starting off with the early game ones and then progressing to the later game ones. Now for titanium you probably have it flowing out of your ears, but I'll be showing you a location a bit later on in the game. Traveling east from the life pod here is going to take us to a few different caves. This is where we're going to find copper. Copper is one of the hardest to find resources early game, and it's typically going to be found deeper in caves here. I also want to bring you over here to show you guys something because the crabs here will actually dig up some resources and they won't attack you. They're non-aggressive. They'll also fend off some of the other more aggressive ones, so don't be afraid to stick around near crabs. But coming over here to the south cave, this is going to be a great location for not just copper, but also early game silver. There's another location for silver that's even better. I'll show you guys in a moment here. But yeah, I'd also recommend going into all those. I do have a video on how to find all 7 bio beds to get all the upgrades to your inventory, which you're going to want for this. Now, coming back out to our tadpole here, we're then going to travel a bit to the east. Salt is another item similar to titanium that just shows up everywhere. It's typically going to be on the surface like you see here, and it also is found in like smaller caves. Now, salt is used for food, which we're going to look for next, because food and water are 2 things you definitely do need, and you can create water from just fibrous pulp. But we're just traveling over here, and you're going to see these glowing things everywhere. These are very useful because they craft grease and rubber, and you can cut away to get 3 different fibrous pulp. And then flowing down into this here, this is where we can find the acidic Raions. Now, there's a specific way that we got to deal with these. If you just grab these thing in the center, you're going to get toxicity. So what you want to do is use your survival multi-tool on these sides, and then you can grab the gel sack. The sack is used to make healing items, and you can use these other resources there. Now, in the cave here, there is a ton of different things. So copper, titanium, you name it. Most caves are going to have a lot of different resources in them. Now, coming back to the life pod and traveling north here, we're going to find ourselves some quartz. Now, quartz is going to be inside any of those green coral shells that you see, so you can climb inside a lot of them, and they're filled with quartz. Quartz is also in a lot of late game areas, but when we come on over to this section here, we can find a ton of it as well. So again, this is in the north section. But we're also looking for Necrolei Cysts here. These are used to make acids, which are important for a lot of things. And you can see here on this inside of corals, you can get a ton of quartz. So really great locations. There's a ton of it everywhere. Those are used to make glass in your buildings. So you can also find in this area some of these here. So most of the plants are going to be kind of glowing, so you can see them at nighttime. That's typically going to be the best time to go and find them. So there's a Roya, nutsack, whatever it is. So yeah, afterwards we're going to travel to the west here, and we're making our way over to these Necrolei Cysts. This is another beautiful place to go at nighttime because everything is going to be glowing. Again, this is to the north of your base. You can see there looking south. That's where our light pod is, around 300 meters away. So this is the best location for this, as when we get to the later sections, there's actually no Necrolei Cysts, but you can plant them using a grow bed. So I do have a separate guide on how to get that, and I'll also show you guys it a bit later. But there's a lot of caves here that'll also contain copper, and then also we have the little the pents here, which are another thing you can use to create food. I don't love using these, but they do come in large groups, so you can grab them pretty easily. Next, we're going to travel a bit towards the north and the 15 mark. So we're going to be traveling here around 200 to 300 meters away to that exact location I have just pinged on the map there. And whenever we make our way over to this section, this is where we're going to find the best silver location in the game. So coming on over here, you're going to see there's a lot of different silver just and titanium on the ground here. Going down lower into the cave, you're going to notice that there is a little hole there, but there's a bunch of silver just sitting around outside of this area. There is another location later on where you can get a lot more silver, but yeah, as you can see here, I've already cleared out a lot of the different silver in this location, and there's still a ton of it here. So in this spot, you can see that there's a little hole in the floor here, which will take you down even lower, and that's where you're going to find even more titanium and silver. So this is the best silver location in the game. You're going to have more than enough from this spot here, but again, it is in other locations, and they actually just added more to the game. Now, traveling from our life pod and going northeast, we're going to find ourselves the best location, really the only location for lead in the game. So just traveling along here and going towards a current whenever we make our way over here. It's around 200 meters away. So just traveling along, I set up a base over there. You will see a current, and that's a great current to set up a base by, because whenever you're near that, you can use the generators to create power. But you see these big purple chunks that kind of look like bismuth here. These are lead. So yeah, you got to use your sonic resonator or feedback resonator to break those apart. I do have a separate guide on how to find that, but yeah, there is a lot of it in this location. It's the only really place that you can find it here. It's right by the wreckage there. Next, we're going to travel from the life pod, and we're going to be be traveling directly south between the south and the 165. This is going to take us over to the best early game lithium location. This is used to craft the air tank, and there's actually one free one that you can grab, and then there's a few that have a bit of a challenge associated to it. So we're just traveling directly south here, and you're going to see to the right hand side, I just kind of looking in the wrong direction here, but turning around and looking over here, you're going to see this big clam. Now there's a way to kind of cheese it. It's a bit difficult. There are air bubbles nearby, so if you come out of it, you can see these little lines on it. So if you bump into it, the eyes on it are going to open up, but if you walk outside of it, it doesn't close. However, if you go inside that thing there's a couple things you can scan, but if you just need that one piece of lithium, it's actually best to travel over here kind of towards the north side from that, and there is a singular lithium piece here. Oddly enough, it respawned for me. I'm not sure why, but I grabbed that whenever I made my air tank initially, and yeah, it is a really useful spot. The air tank is in the nearby area. Now after this, we're going to be traveling to a bit of a spot you need the heat generator, or the heat adaptation. So traveling towards the east and the 105, that's going to be something you hear often, because going between the east and the 105 takes you to a lot of different spots, but we're just going to be going over to here, and you will see a bit of orange. That means we're going into the heat zone. And this is where we're going to find sulfur and gold. There's actually a lot of great spots here. Again, you see salt pretty much everywhere in the game, so it's going to be one of those resources you just find often. There's quartz, and there's some crab feces, and there's the Jorkmaster 9000, oddly enough. Not sure what it's doing, but it's a ring jellyfish. So yeah, after that, we're just going to continue traveling along. When you're in the heat zone, there is sulfur and gold everywhere. You just have to look out for it. There's no like particular best location, because it's always just going to be stuck onto these here. Be careful though, even with the heat adaptation, if you get in the way of like that volcanic little eruption there, you will take damage. But looking around, you'll find a ton of sulfur. I already picked through this area, but even still, there's gold pretty much everywhere. So the larger ones will require the sonic or feedback resonator. The smaller pieces you can just break apart by hand, or if you want to be fancy, you can just blast away too. And yeah, there's a lot of gold in this game. It's kind of interesting. But after this, we're then going to travel between that E and the 105 again, a bit of a different location here this time. So this is a better location for lithium. Lithium is one of the more rare minerals in this game, but there's some really good spots. So kind of continuing along in the same vein that we were just in, but instead of going like to the left this time, we're going to go to the right and down into the pits. Now, finding lithium is weird because it'll only appear in the depths of the caves in the heat zone. So we're just going to continue to travel along through here, and you'll eventually find these holes in the ground. Now, there's a biobed nearby here as well, so you can look in the region, but this will also contain gold, quartz, you name it, pretty much everything in this area. But continuing deeper into the cave, you see more gold there, and here's the lithium. It looks really weird. In real life, lithium reacts with water violently. It's kind of funny, and in this game, obviously, it's a bit different. So yeah, that's where you can find a ton of lithium. Just be careful and may get stuck in the ground. I also will show you at the end how to get underneath the map, because there are some items that'll just get stuck on the map. It's kind of frustrating. But after this is all said and done, we're gonna, pick a clean. Go to Tadpole Pens. This is continuing east from where we just were. This is the location that you have to go through for the main game. And there's going to be a big fun surprise down here. The Collector Leviathan. Now, he will leave you alone mostly if you stick very deep. So you do need that Tadpole Depth Modulator or modules. So I do have a guide on how to get that. But if you want to pass through here without having the Collector Leviathan, swim at the very top and hop out of the water. He won't be able to hit you there, but going deep is great because this will give us not just quartz and more copper, but this is where we're going to find Celestine. And this is there's a few locations that are really great for that, but coming down from over here and just traveling a bit more to the south, so this is like southeast. And you can see here, just I'm looking for the different spots, like the life pod is obviously very far west from here. There's a ton of Celestine here. So this is something that will show up exactly where we saw the Collector Leviathan. There is a ton of it everywhere, but this is the best location for it. There's also a ton of copper, titanium, you name it. There's a lot of this in this region. Just be careful, because if you go too far one of those ways, you will spawn another Leviathan, but there isn't really that many aggressive fish in this area. So as you see, tons of Celestine, and there is, I guess, a couple of the snipers. Now, creature enamel is pretty much everywhere in this section. It has these little weight things sticking out of it, and there's a bunch of them anywhere that you're going to find the Celestine here. Creature enamel is one of the most abundant resources in this section, so as you're going through and exploring, you're going to find a ton of it. But here is the Alien Research Outpost. So this is going to be a good place to set up a base. It is directly like 1,200 meters from the life pod in the east direction here. This is the best location for titanium in the game. I already broke through a bunch of it here, and you can see there is still tons and tons of it. There's also copper and other things if you go deeper below here, but yeah, titanium is literally everywhere in this game, but this is the most concentrated location, and it's great because this inspires you to set up a base in this location. I'd also recommend setting up metal farms. We'll get more onto that a bit later, as you can find them in a later section. Now, once we come from the base and travel towards the south mark, this is where we're going to find the Atacamite. Now, there's a ton of it here, and another location that I'd recommend finding is the Angel Comb here, because this is another good one. As you see, there's lots of salt and Celestine in this area and tons of quartz, but the Atacamite is this little green stuff on the ground. It's about 300 meters to the east of where we were at our base there. There's tons of it here, and I've already picked up a ton of it myself. And even if you see stuff outside of the range of the early access, you can still go outside and grab it. Just don't linger around there too much, because there is Leviathans. Now, we're going to continue to travel towards the eastern mark here, and you're going to see it get even greener and greener. Now, the Angel Comb is over here. That's another good another good location to have as an area that you're going to travel from. So we're just continuing along the stalks here. Again, with the tadpole depth module, you can only go up to 450 meters, but that's not a big deal, because even if you let your tadpole get destroyed, you can always fix it with a repair tool. But there's more of the Atacamite there. It's just very abundant in this region. So continuing along this way, we're going to find the Troilite. So there's a ton of it here. This is another material that we need for the late game for crafting things you do need it for the end of the deal, to beat the actual game here. You do need to grab a ton of that, so you're going to be pretty much picking that clean. Now, the Conduit Crystals, there's a few different locations for this. Typically, they're going to be anywhere where you see any of those alien-like figures, so going up to them, you're going to destroy them, obviously, with the Sonic Resonator. There's a lot of them. The best part about them is they'll get a lightningy glow, they're conductive, so you're going to see lightning, especially if there's any of the lightning fish, and there's a lot of them in this region. So just look around and you're going to see these weird little sculptures. They're typically going to be near any of the alien buildings. And here is the Angel Comb again that we're going to be using as a reference to travel from. So traveling to the northeast here, we're going to be going for the last few pieces of resources we need. Now, there's another good spot that has a bunch of gold and stuff. There's a lot of different heat spots that'll have sulfur and gold in this late game region, so that's really nice. And again, there's more of the Conduit Crystals pretty much everywhere in the alien region. So the nice thing is, again, they'll have that lightning-like appearance to them, so they're pretty easy to find. You do need them for a lot of different resources, and there's some more Atacamite in that region. Now, traveling towards the green pit, I'll also show you guys a little fun fact, but here is the best location for silver and a bit of titanium in the game, literally just right from the stocks here. So as you're traveling from the Angel Comb and going towards the green pits here. Now, a little word of warning, these fish here are kind of aggressive, and there's another collector Leviathan right above. He won't bother you if you stick near the bottom, so just don't swim up top there. There's more Troilite. Now, the funny thing is, these things will bite you, but if you stay still, they will sometimes ignore you. So that is another thing that you can kind of deal with, is they're blind. They can't see you. They only hear you. So afterwards, we're going to be traveling over here. Those things, those big things on the left, you can scan those. 2 of them or 3 of them will give you a metal farm. So I'd highly recommend doing that, because metal farms let you recreate any metal. You put one metal into it, and it's going to continually keep making them for you. I would highly recommend doing this, because some of these are very hard to get. Now, here's the Axum bacteria cultures. These are annoying because they will fall underneath the map. It happened to me, and it happened to a bunch of other people. Here's where to actually go underneath the map. So if you travel to the southeastern section here, you can actually go through this here. I just showed the direction. This is obviously sped up really quickly just to save you guys time, because I do a separate video on how to do that, but you can get underneath the map. I'd recommend putting all these into the metal farms here, just the more rare resources, because you're going to want to have more of them. And the metal farms, you do need the Axum bacteria to be able to craft them, so throw those in there right away and craft some more. So that is how to find every resource in Subnautica 2. If this video is useful, please hit the subscribe button below. I have guides on how to find all the tadpole upgrades and everything else related to Subnautica 2. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and we'll catch you in the next one.